Alright guys, I was going to do a video talking about the bugs of Destiny and cite a bunch of tweets and YouTube comments as examples, but I've been saving tweets and YouTube comments since Tuesday, and truthfully, if I read them all, this video would be well over an hour long. I struggled with how to structure this video because I really wanted to showcase every YouTube comment and tweet about the piss poor state of the game, but I truly can't. I have over 300 screenshots saved. Luckily, the Destiny 2 team on Twitter has recently come out with a list of issues that they're looking into, so we'll go over that instead, and I will just splash comments and tweets that are relevant to the bugs on screen. But first, my reason for the video. It started with a tweet from Multimac when he said, "The effects of the layoffs are beginning to show, especially on the QA side of things. Feels bad for the devs who care about / love Destiny, but it's of no fault of their own, and leadership is the root cause. I don't think I've ever seen such a polarized community post DLC launch." To which I replied, "They were beginning to show with Vesper's host, and I've been sounding the alarm bells since then. Second encounter of Sundered Doctrine, Nether health regen completely botched, Crimson, Unrelenting, etc. not working properly. Quality has been on a downward slide since October, and it appears to be getting worse." So to give you a bit of backstory, if you're unfamiliar, on February 14th I made a video with a thumbnail that said "Destiny is broken," and the title was "Bungie has lost the community's trust." And a creator called Bradley the Bradster reacted to the video and tried to claim that QA had nothing to do with the crit not working on the Sundered Doctrine Shrieker boss. What was most concerning about this bug as well is the feedback was showing that you were hitting crits, it just didn't register as a crit. So as a player, you think you're doing everything right and your damage is just ass for some reason. This totally fucks with you and changes how you would approach the encounter. I think Brad took down the reaction eventually, but a lot of people were vouching for me in the comments and saying that I knew what I was talking about, and I did really appreciate that. Unfortunately, the state of the game just kept degrading my experience from there on out, and I became more and more negative towards the game. In my opinion, justifiably so. I'm a reasonable person, but I will call bullshit out when I see it. Paul Tassi tweeted on the day I'm making this video, and his tweet said, "You're being so negative." Yeah man, there's a lot to be negative about, and I'd like things to be better. And he's totally right. I stand by everything I said in that video back in February, and every bit of content I've made from then to now criticizing Bungie. I've played this game non-stop since 2017, never missed a season or even an event outside of Solstice. I stopped grinding that slot because I love summer, and in Canada, life is too short to play shitty Destiny events for mid rewards when it's that nice outside. But still, I know how the game used to feel, and I could feel it getting worse and worse from a quality perspective with every update. And I was certainly worried about the state of Edge of Fate. Bungie was planning to implement a ton of systems changes on an infrastructure that wasn't really designed for the type of game that Destiny 2 is now. Destiny is a completely different game from how it launched in 2017. Sunset content jokes aside, like how you literally can't even play content from the first 2 years of the game, but outside of the EDZ and whatever is still around from the launch of the game, everything is different. The armor systems, the weapons, the subclasses, it's all changed since vanilla. Hell, they even changed the way that they make weapon models. I remember them talking about it on a podcast or something. Point is, I think with every update that they do, the game acquires more and more technical debt. Insert disclaimer here of, I'm not a developer, and game development is hard, and a game engine wouldn't fix all our issues, and every stupid fucking thing that you have to say to be able to give an ounce of feedback, only for people to still call you a hater. The point is, this game's quality is going downhill. Massively. I noticed it a while ago, but people are sure as shit noticing it now. And before we dive into all the bugs, 2 things about the feedback. One, it's not my job as a consumer to tell Bungie how to fix their problems. It is my job to report the problems if I am unhappy with their product. It's their job to fix it. 2, on the topic of feedback, I get flamed and death threats about people wanting to spit on my grave, all for speaking ill of the game. I get it, if you still love Destiny, you don't want to hear negative things being said about the game, that's fine. Please unsubscribe and don't watch my videos if they bring you down. I have always made content that I'm passionate about, therefore when I saw the developers killing a game that I loved so dearly, I made content about it. Why? Because I care. I want the game to be good. Content creators, more than anyone, benefit from this game being good. You think I want my channel that I poured countless hours into and built a community with to just tank because the developers killed their game? No. So to all the Bungie dick riders who freak out in my comment section, you're ridiculous. And I want to be clear, I know it's a very loud vocal minority, but still, you get mad when I criticize Bungie when it's that very same criticism that is the only thing that has a chance of saving the game. Do you think they would care to fix some of the problems in the game if people didn't voice their displeasure? Fuck no. If they know that they can get away with feeding you slop, then they will continue to do that, because they know that you're too scared to speak up and act like you deserve better. So anyways, you're welcome. And to my fans who are disappointed in the direction my channel has gone and miss the old videos of me making builds and content that I was excited about, I miss those days too. Believe me, I loved every comment I got from you when you said my videos helped you clear a dungeon or a GM or whatever. All I wanted to do was teach people Destiny. But since I can no longer bring myself to play the game, I'm just trying to use my voice to provide feedback for the ones who are still around, whose voice gets drowned out in the noise. I want Destiny to be better for you, and ideally so good that maybe I would have a reason to come back. Alright, all that to say, the game is in a very unhealthy place right now. Yesterday I made a video talking about the sorry state of the day 1 raid in regards to bugs, so watch that if you want to see even more bugs. But for today, we will focus on the game-wide bugs, not the specific raid bugs. Weekly reset, we wanted to give an update on our upcoming fixed timelines and share a few of the resolutions we are hoping to include in upcoming patches. This is not a full list of our active investigations and planned fixes for each of these releases, but a recap of some of the issues we know have been pain points recently. Our known issues list will continue to be a more complete list of all the known issues we are tracking. And funnily enough, when I click on this, it just takes me to this, and I can't really figure out where to click. Like, see, it pulls these up, year 8, Destiny Content Vault. But yeah, I don't see a list of issues. But anyways, Tuesday, July 22nd, targeting fixes for PS5 audio issues, the camera sometimes spinning violently when entering Matterspark, Kepler Tier 2 and 3 gear focusing displaying an incorrect unlock requirement, players must complete the Explore Kepler Fabled quest to unlock Tier 2, and Mythic to unlock Tier 3, teleporters not functioning in Prophecy, Duality, and the Corrupted, targeting fixes for on July 29th, hit markers not functioning when damaging targets, error coding out of the Edge of Fate missions preventing players from relaunching them, the Metiodoxia and Wishful Ignorance exotics cannot be fully masterworked, the Heart's Purity ornament floating around the player or not animating correctly. We are still actively investigating the Prevalent PlayStation 4 console crash and have identified a root cause, thank goodness. Players experiencing this issue when logging into Destiny or loading into the tower are advised to unequip the armor pieces causing issues. The full list of items can be found on our known issues list. And then again, I click it and it doesn't really take me to a known issues list. It just takes me to archived issues and stuff like that. So again, not too sure what's going on there. Another tweet, we've been investigating reports that ability regen was not recharging at the rates communicated in a previous TWID following the 9.001 update. Many thanks to our community sleuths who discovered the issue and brought it to our attention. Guy on YouTube, cool name, he had a video, Bungie lied, the truth about armor stats. I watched it, it is very, very good. Go watch it. Obviously they're working on a fix, but he breaks everything down really, really, really well. And yeah, basically gives proof that these abilities are not coming back properly. So right now the ability stats, grenade, melee, class, and super are returning less ability energy than stated in our previous communications. We had previously stated that hitting 70 in an ability stat in the Edge of Fate was equivalent to pre-Edge of Fate values for discipline, strength, each class's ability regen stat, and intellect, and that going above 70 stat would result in faster recharging than before. This isn't currently true for the 70 stat mark, but the 85 stat mark, and we intend to make it true for 70 stat in an upcoming patch. Our design goal for the Edge of Fate stats is to let players be able to reach higher heights than previously possible in the game by investing heavier into specific stats, but also have interesting trade-offs when making build crafting choices. Making 70 stat one of the big trade-off points is important for our design goals and for meeting player expectations for build crafting. A full breakdown of how the stats are being corrected will be shared in the accompanying patch notes. Above is a simplified version. Suffice it to say, mistakes were made and we're sorry for the accidental confusion here. We intend to make it right quickly. Once again, we appreciate the members of the community who noticed this discrepancy and pushed it forward for our attention. And then this one is mostly around the raid, but they do mention the PC crashes. I went over this full one yesterday. PC crashes after 5+ hours with certain hardware configurations, And then down here, they do say, expect some updates on alternate investigations we've been in, sprint issues, audio issues, etc. So yeah, there's other issues. So now let's kind of just talk about it. So first, here's a comment that I had from Grandma Destiny, which said, servers are good, but bugs are bad. She is as diehard as they come and has been a fan of my channel for a while. So it's been pretty bad when one of the biggest supporters of the game is even talking about it. I was playing Donkey Kong Bonanza and Bill King came into my chat and told me how he couldn't play the campaign with his friend because his game would not stop crashing. I've seen so many comments about the game just constantly crashing. Bungie, your player base is dwindling and the few diehards that you have left can't even play the game without constant crashes. Some can't even log in. You need to do everything you can to fix this ASAP because soon they're just not going to care anymore. Another issue is that the new exotic Void Scout Rifle is doing bug damage when paired with Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle. Though this is one of the few bugs that people were actually happy about because it allowed them to complete some mythic tier missions easier. In my video yesterday, I showed how on-screen damage numbers are not matching up with wipe screen numbers or the damage meters in the testing ground. And apparently the DPS meter in the testing ground is way wrong as well. Matterspark is making people physically ill. Encore was too efficient of a farm, so they friggin' disabled it. They had to disable a bunch of weapons for the day one raid for various bugs. The Choir of One RPM macros still aren't fixed. I saw grapple grenades and knife trick were one-shotting in PvP with Spirit of the Liar, so they had to disable it. Duality is bugged and you apparently can't even load into the Vault of Glass. Verity is also apparently bugged. Non-airy manifolds say they are expiring at the end of Heresy, and I guess I thought that meant that they would just go away out of your inventory, but no, they're still there in your inventory and they take a year to dismantle. Certain shaders cause extreme glare on certain weapons. Granted, this would be hard as hell to catch, because the combination of shaders and guns is nearly infinite. This is also a minor issue in the grand scheme of things. Here's a list that a community member made of a bunch of bugs. Some of these have been acknowledged and some have not, but the whole meme of the community is that we're the QA testers now and it's never rang more true. You can't decrypt engrams in the Postmaster, Dual Destiny is also bugged, cheaters are still running rampant in PvP, Truth is inexplicably buffing grenade damage. This one just makes me laugh because of how random it is. Like, Truth has nothing to do with grenades. I guess its special perk is grenades and horseshoes, but it's like, why is this weapon buffing grenades? But that's Bungie's spaghetti code for you. But again, it's so unlikely that you would ever catch this in testing. There have been a ton of shadow nerfs that the community has been working to figure out, and here's a list of some that you can read for yourself. The campaign soft locks people on the regular, and you also apparently can't complete a certain quest step on alternate characters. Guns will change RPM randomly. I saw a clip of Sleeper Simulant doing it. Also, burst hand cannons just stop bursting. Eager Edge stops working. You can't sprint. There's the rally flags. Gun models disappearing, but that's been a thing for years. But it still doesn't excuse it. Weird enemy scaling where they're actually higher light level above you than they should be. Damage numbers would change for people after they re-instanced in the raid. Was this just a visual bug, or were they really doing 2/3 less damage before they re-instanced? Who knows? Melee registration is still super hit or miss. I literally could keep going, but I think I'm just going to call it there. I have a bunch more tweets and YouTube comments saved with other examples, but I'm sick of going back and screenshotting and reading them all for this video. At this point, you understand what I'm saying. The game is in the buggiest state it's ever been, and it needs a drastic quality of life patch update. The main reason I stopped playing was I could no longer tell what was intentional and what was a bug. And as a player who prided himself on teaching people the ins and outs of the game, I couldn't be confident in the info that I was giving people anymore. We saw it really bad with artifact mods in Season of the Revenant. That was the beginning of the end for me. It seemed like none of the artifact mods worked, and that is the kind of stuff that I love to test at the start of a new season. So yeah, eventually it just completely nuked my will to make content. Bungie also delayed the new Crucible mode for a week because it needed more time in the oven. Bro, this entire expansion needed more time in the oven. But this is the result that you get when you prioritize velocity over quality. I started sounding the alarm bells back in January when I did the deep dive into Bungie's developmental philosophy. But sadly, with every update, the game seems to become more and more littered with bugs. It was enough to drive me away from the game, and it seems many others are wanting to leave as well. But more on that in a separate video. Anyways, I'm gonna call it there. You get the idea. For the people who say I'm just a hater, fuck you. You're ignoring clear evidence. All my gripes with the state of the game and Bungie's carelessness are totally justified, and this expansion is proof of that. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.